Well, the Democrats have also had their chance to give their reaction in Congress to what the president said. Well, let's get our own now and speak to Democratic California Congressman Brad Sherman. Hello and welcome to the program. We just had there your colleague Ralph Norman of the Republican Party saying that the president's speech was fantastic. It was uplifting. What was your reaction to it?
It was outrageous. It contained more lies than the press can possibly fact check. I was just listening to Ralph saying all Americans are furious at Canada. No, I mean, we're annoyed that the Canadians are, so polite. It gets a little annoying, but nobody's furious with Canada. And way less than 1% of the fentanyl in America comes from Canada. And Trump just picked a fight with Canada because he's trying to pick a fight with everybody. But this speech, I think you identified the fact that President Trump claims that we provided $350 billion of aid to Ukraine, and that's double what we actually did. But there are just so many lies in the speech. I don't know if you wanted to devote an hour-long program, but we could go through them all.
I mean, just give us a few, because you actually tweeted about an hour ago that, and I'm going to quote what you said, Trump had too many lies to fit in a short speech. Just give us top 2 or top 3 of what you believe, because you just mentioned Ukraine. Which other ones did you see or did you hear?
Well, look, they can't really afford all the tax cuts for billionaires they want to do unless they can hit Social Security. And so he tells us, Social Security is giving huge money to millions of people over the age of 110. That's just totally bogus. It's been completely debunked. Now, it's true. There's a computer system that has a bunch of names in it and ages. And also and this computer system was put together like in the 60s, so that if they didn't know an age, it comes out. The computer puts in 150. None of these people over 110 are getting Social Security benefits. And if we were willing to spend over $1 million, several $1 million, we could take those names out of the computer system. But this idea that billions of dollars of Social Security benefits are going to people older than Moses is a complete lie, but a lie with a purpose. And that is to undercut support for Social Security. Then another way to tell a lie is previous to this speech, the president had said that we had spent $50 million on condoms for Gaza. Well, Elon Musk said, oops, that was a complete lie. But then they find out that what we did have was a program in Southern Africa to prevent HIV/AIDS.
Yeah, that was for Mozambique.
Right. The whole region, but some of it a small portion of it went to a province in Mozambique that happens to be called Gaza. Who knew? But then the president attacks as some sort of silly waste of money the fact that as part of that AIDS prevention program, we're providing circumcisions. And it sounds funny and stupid until you read the science. You have a 60% reduction in the transmission of AIDS from one partner to the other in a heterosexual relationship if the man has been circumcised. So the cheapest way to prevent AIDS in Africa is to provide free circumcisions. And if you don't prevent AIDS in Africa, not only do a lot of Africans die, but every single African with AIDS is another chance for the disease to mutate and become more virulent and come back to the United States. So you're protecting American lives, you're protecting African lives, you're doing it in the most cost-effective way, and because it relates to a particular part of the male anatomy, Trump can describe it as a silly waste of money. That's another kind of lying that he likes to engage in.
Congressman Sherman, we've heard President Trump and his supporters continuously say that this is a golden age for America. You don't sound like you believe it is a new age for America.
Well, I think that the entire world is actually getting better. And obviously, if you listen to the news, you'd come to a different conclusion. Worldwide, Life expectancies have never been higher. Yes, we have terrible wars going on, but we haven't had a world war since the 1940s. The advancements in science are there. Americans are looking forward to a new baseball season. So no matter how bad a President Trump is, Americans could have a good year and an enjoyable year, and maybe my baseball team will win. So it may be a good year for America. It's a terrible year for the American government.
You did mention about Canada and the fact that Canadians are actually annoyed because they are very quiet and they're very lovely, and everybody seems to think that those tariffs and obviously the retaliatory actions taken by Canada, what impact do you see having it on American economy?
Just the tariffs we're imposing will have a bad impact. It ties up the automobile industry into knots because it's based right there in the Detroit, Windsor area where parts go back and forth between factories on one side of the border and the other. It's also going to have a terrible impact on Southern California. I represent the Pacific Palisades. The president came in his first few days in office, came to my district, and I asked him, if you're going to do these tariffs, God forbid, at least exempt building materials because we have to rebuild so much of Southern California. He said he'd seriously think about it in a way that seemed to convince me that he was going to be serious. They put no effort into thinking about it, and we're going to be paying a lot more to rebuild our homes because of tariffs on Canada related to fentanyl, of all things. Now, the fentanyl problem is a serious, serious problem, but the portion of it coming from Canada is de minimis.
So what are you going to do? What are the Democrats going to do then? Because you have a party, a president who has pretty much all the power. He's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's got the White House. What are you going to do?
Well, first, we're not going to try to make Americans' lives worse, to punish them for electing Trump or just to throw a monkey wrench into things. We're going to vote for good bills and vote against bad bills. We're going to then go to the American people next year and ask for control chiefly of the House of Representatives because of the peculiarities of the Senate and so many states with small populations. Getting the Senate would be very difficult. But if we can control the House in less than 2 years, we can put ourselves in a position to rein in this president.
All right.
But elections have consequences. It's going to be a tough year for the American government.
All right. Thank you so very much, Congressman Brad Sherman there, Democratic California.